So, very, very good morning, everyone, and welcome to this, which is the fifth of our six teachings on the paramita of dhyana. And so, a warm welcome to everyone who's here. And for those of you joining this on YouTube later on, then good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Let's start, as we usually do, very, very importantly, with our good motivation, a good heart, and we turn our hearts in love and care to all sentient beings, and very, very especially those who've been part of this life, our parents, siblings, friends, children, lovers, and so on. And in our good motivation, we want particularly to listen well, to really hear what the teachings are saying, so that they can help us do what Gom meditation is all about: change our mind, change our hearts, change our lives for the better, so that we can help and serve our fellow beings more effectively. Thank you. We take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the community of most noble minds. From this moment on, until we reach the very heart of enlightenment, through the practice of generosity and all six transcendent virtues, may we reach total awakening and every enlightened quality, to be able to truly help sentient beings so lost in samsara. May each and every being be well, live long, be healthy, be well provided for, have good friends, find respect, live in places of peace and plenty, and most of all, may they practice Dharma. May they each create the cause for those good things to be their wealth in future lives. May they be free from suffering and from creating causes of future suffering. May they discover the natural and sacred well-being that's totally beyond suffering, and attain great equanimity, free of closeness or distance from anyone. Dhyanta shame shamavati shameta shadru kurimare jite karota keori tejovati olayane Vishudane male malapanaye kure kaka grasana omki paramuki amuki shammedavane Savagraha bandhanane nigrihitva savamava pravadina vimukta marapasha savitva buddhamudra anudgatita savamare putsarita parishuddhe Biga Shantu Sava Marakamani. Glorious Guru, source of all blessing, ever present above our heads on lotus and moon seat, through your immense kindness, ever sustain us, that the accomplishments of body, speech, and mind flow from you, and we are one. So we are investigating this dhyana paramita, and we over the past weeks we have zoomed in. They say in French, c'est le cas de le dire, zoomed in. We're on Zoom. We've zoomed in from the largest picture of what we call meditation. Just a second, I need to balance a keyboard in here. The larger picture, Gom, remember this word Gom, which is the very general term for meditation, and it means rehabituating ourselves, becoming, making ourselves what we want to be. Gom. It's making a new status quo is what it means. So that's the general picture. Anything we can do, and in particular in this world of habits, developing habits, new habits, anything we can do to shift our being, our life, our mind in the right direction is meditation. The idea is that change doesn't usually come through one thing. It can usually comes through working again and again and again with the old tendencies, so that anything that's not good we can get rid of, and what's good we can improve, and we can bring in new skills. That's the main point. So within all of that rephrasing of ourselves, reprogramming of ourselves, gone, then we have one very special skill, which is dhyana, which is the title of this paramita. Dhyana itself means absorption. And to understand absorption, we really need to understand its opposite, which is distraction. Distraction in the sense that we can't keep our mind where we want it. We can't just say, mind, focus on this, and it focuses. It doesn't work like that. We can't just say, Ken, be like this. Don't do this anymore. Don't think this anymore. And then I won't think it anymore. It doesn't work like that. Our mind keeps going back and back to its old habits of reaction, thinking, fantasizing, dreaming, all those things. So dhyana means we can not just hold the mind where we want it, but that holding where we want it enables a much deeper interaction and contact with where we're holding it, our focus, what we're focused on. So to the point of absorption, where there is nothing but that, to the exclusion of all else. That's what we mean by absorption. It's, the word itself sounds like a sponge, doesn't it? Absorb. If you've got a Kleenex and you put it on something that's spilled, it sucks it up. The word absorption sounds like that, but really what it means is what I just described. It's complete being with the focus to the exclusion of everything else. To the exclusion of everything else is really the meaning of absorption. It's very hard to describe what is absorption itself when you're totally with your focus. Very hard. There's another word, samadhi. Samadhi, translated in Tibetan, ting zin. Ting means the very, very, very bottom. It's like, and zin means holding something in the very deepest place. It means you've gone right into something, to its depth, as deep as you can go, to the exclusion of everything else. So dhyana, that's the meaning of dhyana. And then we looked at dhyana meditation, and we saw lots of things. I'm not going to go back over all of them. We've had 4 weeks so far, and but we saw that to really develop the skill of being able to hold our mind where we want it, then it's very useful to, it's called isolating the body, isolating the mind. So we take our body away from its habitual circumstances, we go to retreat, we go to very neutral other circumstances. It's good if it's simple, like going to another complicated circumstance. It's going to be busy, occupy our mind. So we need to get away from the regular circumstances, and then when we're there, we need to take our mind away from its regular habits. And we saw that one thing we do was to work with our biggest problems, whether they're desire or anger or so on. That's one thing we do. And then there are other techniques involving the breath. So where we got to last week, or not last week in terms of time, but in the last session, was to look at this in terms of structure, important point, the three types of dhyana. There's dhyana that procures tangible well-being. When it says tangible, it means in this life. What you're doing, you actually see the results in this life. You feel it, you experience it, and you see not just today you feel it in your session, but you can see as the months go by, as the years go by, your meditation is doing its job. It's working. So there is well-being. Your reprogramming of yourself, GOM, is going in the right direction. So when we looked at that, Gampopa dealt with it mainly in terms of the Bodhisattva's meditation. And in the last session, we finished up with this this meaningful quote that then Gampopa explores more or less word by word. So I'll just remind you of it, we won't go through it again. But it was a quote from the Bodhisattva Levels text. It says, "This is the meditation of Bodhisattvas. It is free of all thought." We explored the meaning of freedom there. You are no longer driven by your habitual thoughts. It gives rise to excellent mastery of mind. You take control of your mind and body. It is supremely peaceful. We explored the notion of peace from a state of peace, a meditation absorbed in peace, through to being at peace with everything you are yourself, and being at peace with the world and everything that's happening in the world through the power of karma. It is without arrogance. It does not get involved with experiencing the taste of meditation. We explored that. And the last thing, it is free from any notion, meaning any notion of an object of meditation. That's where we finished. That's where I finished quite quickly last time. Just saying for that last point is that basically, whether we actually experience it in the practice yet or not, we know about non-duality. Yeah, I don't think we'll explore that today. It's fun to explore that one, non-duality. It's a lot of fun. I remember before doing any really formal Buddhist studies, we had in Samiling in very early 1970s, maybe 72, 73, one or two teachers who passed through quite quickly and they gave a talk or two. I remember one, Geshe, he came through and he said, "Let's do a bit of Tibetan geography." And so there was a chair in the corner. He said, this chair, is it inside you or outside you? Of course, everyone said, it's outside you. And then he showed how our experience of the chair is inside us. And is there anything other than your experience of the chair? So anyway, this seeming duality of the world we experience as being other, and us the experience, the main point there is that they are not two things. And it's so simple, no one can get it. That's the trouble. Complicated things people can get, we're all too clever. The most simple thing, and because it's simple, how can you explain it? Once you start using words and several sentences, it's complicated. So, what you experience has to be your mind. Otherwise, you can't experience it. Even though your logic and your school and everything says, yes, but the chair's out there, and I never made it, somebody brought it here. Even though blah, 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 you tell yourself a story. We're not talking about that. That's secondary. That's the way we explain life to us. If you're sitting, experiencing a chair, that chair is nowhere else than in your mind. If it wasn't in your mind, you wouldn't experience it. The fact that you're experiencing it that's what's happening in your mind just now. It's all we're talking about with non-duality, nothing else. The rest is logic. What's logic? What's rationalization? It's telling yourself a story so that you feel comfortable with your experience. Isn't it? It's secondary. We're not talking about that in meditation. We're talking about what's happening right now in your mind. If it's not in your mind, it's not happening right now for you. So you can look at the furthest stars, and you might have read that they are so many billion miles away, light years, and that you've got all that blah, blah, blah. And if you take away the blah, 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 what have you got? An experience of white dots on a blue background. That's what's really happening. That's why in the Mahasiddhas, they use the example of a child in a temple. Buddhists know all this stuff in temples. Or this is an image of Buddha, that's this, that's that, that's a dragon. You take a little baby in there, it's just sights and sounds. They don't know it's Buddha. They don't know it's a drum until their daddy takes them up and lets them hit the drum, and it goes boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden, they've discovered drums. But even then, it's just sound. They don't know the word drum. They don't know anything. It's a living experience in their mind. So in meditation, that's what we're dealing with all the time. So then if it's all in your mind, which it is, of course, then are there two sides to this mind? Once you start thinking about that and exploring it, and then sitting down very, very, very quietly and trying to find two sides, an object and a subject, you can't find. You can tell yourself all sorts of stories, but you can't find it. Nobody found it. So anyway, this last line, which said free of all notion, it means free of all notion of a separate object. Now, of course, there's much more to this, but we're talking about meditation, and I have to explain that last line. I didn't have time in the last session, so that's about that. In this course, we're just looking at a description of what goes on. It's not our job in this course to understand non-duality and get it done and dusted. It's just to say a bodhisattva's meditation is free of notions, and in the commentaries it says free of notions of separate subject and object. So we need to finish. There's another little paragraph about this first of the three aspects of dhyana, which is tangible well-being. Dhyana that produces tangible well-being, tangible goodness, tangible good results. And it says, the concentration meditations of the four dhyana serve as the gateway to all of these. That's a big sentence. It might not look like it, but it says for the bodhisattvas, we're looking at the paramita, we're looking at Mahayana path, then the four classic dhyana meditations, called four jhanas in Pali, are the doorway to this. The four dhyanas are not ends. They are a means to the bodhisattva's meditation. So the use of the four dhyanas in Mahayana Buddhism is very different from in Shravaka Buddhism. Very different. The use is different. It means the end result is different. It's a different path. Both were taught by the Buddha for different psychologies of people, people with different karma, people with different needs, different aspirations. They are both perfectly valid, excellent paths, suited to the people who come to the Buddha in their various states of karma and dharma evolution. But the basic methods of the dhyana, which is, as we saw earlier in the previous course, keeping your mind one-pointedly where you want it in virtue. That definition is so important. By holding the mind with its object and going deeper and deeper, so that it's more and more to the exclusion of all the deviations, then we move through the dhyanas. So that basic methodology is used by the bodhisattvas. And then there's just a note on these. In another course, when we looked at karma, cause and effect, we look more deeply into the four dhyanas, into the technicalities of them, mechanics of them. In the third type of karma, we get virtuous karma, non-virtuous karma, and the karma of, it's called immobility, karma of this static meditation, dhyana meditation. So in the classical four dhyanas, in the first dhyana, there are four key components, qualities, four things going on. The first is deliberate thought. So there is thought. The second is inspection or investigation, analysis. The third, with time, is bliss. The word bliss will be used here for physical well-being. Physical feels good. And then another word, you can say happiness or joy, mental well-being. So as one cultivates the first dhyana and holds the mind on its focus, and that works so that then there is samadhi, one is absorbed into the focus, then The first 2 points will be what make it happen. Thought. So I don't want to use too much time on this, but this course has to stand in its own right as a recording, so I can't say go back to the other course, because people won't. I have to at least cover something simple. So if we take the Shravaka way of practicing the dhyanas, then they make representations, symbolic representations of the elements. You make something physical out of clay, out of wood, and it's an object, so it's a square, yellowish object for earth element, and so on. And you use that as your focus, so you place it in a comfortable place so that you can see it in your meditation posture quite nicely. And then the thought is a help me focus thought. So you think earth, 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 and why you're earth, 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 earth. You can't deviate into shopping list and then this, that, ideas, thought, discursive reality, earth, 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 focus, focus. And it doesn't need to be as dramatic and sounding like a robot as I just made it, but I think you got the point. We use deliberate thought to keep our mind with the focus, and then that thought is second quality investigation, where we practice awareness of what's happening, investigative awareness of our, it's called a kasina, the symbol of the earth element, or whichever element it is. So the first 2 of the 4 qualities are the tools that help us. And out of that, as our mind becomes more and more one with the earth element, so we've made an actual object in the room, but you've focused on it so much, if you close your eyes, it's there, it's in your mind, this yellow square earth, earth, earth. And one can get absorbed into what's called the mental counterpart in your mind, deeply absorbed into that, to the exclusion of other things. So when that happens, your body starts to feel blissful, more and more blissful. And your mind is very happy to be peacefully in one place. The peacefulness of just being totally absorbed, in this case in the earth element, means your mind is happy. So that's the first dhyana. It matures into, or it becomes refined, finer, into the second dhyana, where you don't need earth, 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 earth anymore. You don't need deliberate thought, and you don't need deliberate investigation. You've done that, you can be with your object, which is now in your mind, very clear. And there is still physical well-being, bliss, and mental well-being, happiness. So that's those 2 things. You feel good all over. Body and mind is very, 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 very nice. And the peace is such wonderful peace. Settled. You know how agitated our minds can get. So beautiful to know peace. And then, so the work of the second dhyana, which takes it to getting finer and finer, you see. Your mind is so peaceful. It is so quiet. So you realized in the first dhyana, all of this earth, earth, earth stuff is gross. You need it, or you needed it, but you can do without it. And now that you've stopped deliberately thinking, deliberately analyzing, mind is much quieter. and your mind is very, very happy in that state. But you realize by the very nature of what's going on, that the physical bliss how best to express this? Physical bliss is nice, but physical peace is better. So when your body, so the physical well-being is transcended, and there is just happiness, the mental well-being. And then the work of the third dhyana is to get rid of that happiness for something even better. It doesn't sound too good from where we are. We already got rid of bliss, which most of us could do with a bit of, and the mental well-being. But you realize that peace in itself, total serenity, and what's happening as we're going deeper and quieter is our one-pointed absorption to the exclusion of everything else is getting deeper. And so equanimity is realized to be the next step. And so the fourth dhyana is one of equanimity. Your body doesn't need to be blissful. Your mind doesn't need to be good. If we're moving towards liberation, then it needs to go beyond good, bad, all of that is the Arhat's liberation is a state of so quiet. And the body is impermanent. And the body-mind symbiosis that makes your mind happy and so on is impermanent. We're going to die. So the deathless mind, which the Buddha sought, is the mind of serenity. So anyway, that's very quickly to talk about the four dhyanas. And they are used differently by the bodhisattvas. They're the tools. We need to focus, we need to concentrate, we need the mind to be absorbed. And the exclusion is the exclusion of all, when you look at it basically, ego-centered thoughts, dualistic-centered thoughts. So anyway, we're just looking at what they do. I just give some clues. We're not having instructions how to do it, and we're not exploring it in detail. We do that in the karma teachings, karma, cause and effect. The second main category of meditation is that produces good qualities. So these are specific bodhisattva or specific Buddhist meditations that produce good qualities, and in particular associated with the 10 powers of wisdom. So we study those in Abhidharma. And so the 10 powers of the bodhisattva are developed through the 10 bodhisattva levels. They become pretty much perfect by the 10th bodhisattva level. And they're what enables the 10th level bodhisattva to become Buddha. So they're achieved through various absorptions, because once we learn in the bodhisattva path, we don't use the kasina, the earth, water, fire, wind representations. We have other ways of focusing. And once we learn how to absorb the mind, then there are bodhisattva absorptions. And it says here that the Shravakas and Pratcheka Buddhas are not even aware of. They don't even know they exist. They never even heard the name of such meditations. So there are those exceptional meditations of the bodhisattva. And then there are common meditations that produce excellent qualities, good qualities, that's this category. And they have the names. Now, these names, we find them in the Abhidharma teachings. Complete liberations. What are we getting liberated from? Ego, desire, and then all those long lists that we can have, the 5 main mind poisons, the 21 subsidiary mind poisons, and their various combinations. So liberation means it's gone. We work hard on this one, on that one. We've seen 5 main remedies for 5 gross mind poisons, but there are many, many absorptions, and this basic act of going deeper and deeper into peace gradually brings liberation from one thing after the other, because they're dried up. While you've been keeping your mind in one point, you've not been feeding the old habits, they die. Malnutrition. Normally we feed our habits with thoughts, with reactions. We've been keeping our mind concentrated. So there are liberations, and then there's a whole list of different things that happen as our mind gets more and more peaceful. The surpassings, where whatever we've achieved before, then we go to the next level, the gateways of exhaustion, the excellent specific intelligences. So there the terms are the same in the Shravaka teachings. In these days, the Theravada teachings, terms are there. In those teachings and for the Bodhisattvas, the names are the same, but the whole way that one is practicing is different. So it says the names are the same, the basic thing that's going on is the same, but the mind that's behind it is different. It's the Bodhisattva mind. So then the third type of meditation is a meditation that accomplishes the welfare of others. We saw in previous teachings about Bodhisattva way, and in the paramita of right conduct, there are 11 ways of benefiting others. So these are backed up by meditation. For instance, many of us are doing the Tonglen practice once a month together, and more generally in our lives. And so we realize when we focus on one area of suffering, we want to do something about it. Our Tonglen practice, our meditation, helps us to really think deeply about what can help here, what's going on, what is the suffering, how is it structured, what are its causes, how can we take that out of this situation, and then what can we do that's positive, that's healing, and so on. So meditation on that kind of a level is behind the actual actions we do to help others. More generally, those who are engaged in helping others, who have total stability and serenity in themselves, are much better placed to do it. If I think, for instance, of Akon Rinpoche's humanitarian work. So many of us were involved in that in different ways. And it's demanding. Helping other people practically is demanding. So you see how me, myself, other people in the work, how they're coping, how it's stressful, what comes up in their mind, how some situations we deal with are just so moving you can't take it. It's too much suffering, whatever. So you can see that in all of that, Akon Rinpoche was like a rock, like a mountain, so stable, so peaceful, able to guide us and help us all in our work. So more generally, stability, strength, peace of mind is the background to meditations involved with helping others. But then when we move up to the bodhisattva levels, when you're no longer necessarily incarnated, when you're a wonderful, vast mind in a body of light, then the way that that initiates so much help for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of beings is different. It's through the power of dharana and absorption. And when we look at the 80 bodhisattva qualities and explore those, we start to discover just how wonderful the bodhisattva mind is in helping beings across so many dimensions of existence. Because you're not embodied in one place necessarily, so you're not limited to what this one body living in one place can do. That's another story. That's bodhisattva levels, but it's what we're looking at here in the end, primarily. It's like in our lineage, Kagyu lineage, how the presence of Buddha Vajradhara expressed through the Karmapas and the lineage masters, how that benefits all of us. So anyway, that's that. Now, what we're going to do for the rest of today is look at the next part of your support document from Gampopa. It says, there are also the very well-known classifications of shamatha and vipasyana, peaceful stability and deep insight. What are they? Gampopa tells us peaceful stability, shamatha, is mind abiding within mind due to most excellent, profound absorption. So mind resting within itself, absorbed excellently, most excellently, and very deeply. That's what we're aiming for with shamatha. Deep insight follows on from this. And we'll explore that. There's a note in your text and we'll explore it. Is an excellent discerning appreciation of phenomena, an excellent discerning appreciation of phenomena that understands what is and what is not to be done. So it's insight, it's wisdom, it's vipasyana. And it says it follows on from this. And so in the note, what I'll explain now is in Mahayana Buddhism, vipasyana is a word, insight, deep insight, vipasyana, that refers to the results of shamatha. Shamatha is the method, it's what we do. We work through it and go through different stages until it's really what it said there. Mind deeply absorbed in itself, deeply absorbed, excellently, in an excellent place. But then when that happens properly, it enables wisdom to emerge. Direct, on the spot, insight. Vipassana is the insight, is only the result of shamatha. We could say shamatha method, samatha cause, and the end result of shamatha is vipassana. That's the Mahayana understanding. In the Shravaka system, it's not quite like that. Vipassana is a term also applied to method. And so, for instance, many people, they go to a 10-day Vipassana retreat from Goenka tradition. So there, You go to the retreat, and within a few days, you are practicing vipassana. So the way that's explained in Mahayana is that when the word vipassana is used for a method, it's like naming a road. So imagine you've got London Road, Birmingham. Right? It's perfectly valid to call it London Road, because I imagine if you follow it, you end up in London. Okay. But at the beginning, even though that's the name of the road, London Road, there is nothing London at all about it. You're right in the heart of Birmingham, or you're getting out of Birmingham. You won't get the London bit until you follow that road all the way and you start to arrive in Potter's Bar or one of those places on the north of London. So, but it's justified to call it London Road. It's called the name of the result being applied to the cause. It's like if you've got a young lemon tree, first year or two it won't make lemons, but it will do, so we can call it a lemon tree. You can't look at it and say, okay, what's that, a lemon tree you say? Show me the lemons. It doesn't have any. No, but if you let it grow, it will do. So it's the name of the result applied to the cause. So we can do like Goenkaji's sweeping vipassana technique, and it will lead to insight. So that's what we're going to look at next, shamatha and vipassana. Making the mind peaceful and stable and bringing out wisdom. Seeing as we are in this dhyana paramita, and we keep looking at how they do it in the Shravaka tradition, then let's look at what happens there and quickly revisit our teachings on karma, cause and effect. So if you remember when we looked at meditation and we looked at dhyana, in the karma teachings, it says there is nothing sacred in holding your mind in one place. It's not virtuous karma. It's not unvirtuous karma. It's neutral karma. Anyone can do it. You don't need to be Buddhist, Hindu, anything. You're just a mind using your mind to focus. You can use it for evil. You could become a very evil person by learning how to become very focused, powerful, concentrated, and so on, undistracted. So in itself, and we saw that if one practices the dhyana methods, take an object, focus on it, focus skillfully to the point where you are totally absorbed in it and go through those, then the natural consequence is rebirth as a deva, rebirth in those particular states. It's not particularly virtuous. So in the Shravaka tradition, where we use dhyana, concentration, to noble ends, for nirvana, for liberation from suffering, then focusing in itself is not enough. It needs to be married with wisdom. So in the Shravaka tradition, whichever one it is, including like Goenkaji's tradition and so on, then one needs teachings. One needs teachings on impermanence, on no self, on suffering. And then as one goes deeper and deeper into an awareness of one's own body and energies and so on, then one applies the teachings, seeing in real time on your cushion, how impermanent each sensation is, and the suffering that comes through clinging to good ones, and so on. Very direct. We see the Buddha's teaching in action in the laboratory of meditation. So in Mahayana Buddhism, we have our own way of developing shamatha, the peaceful stability, and we do it in a way that nurtures this outcome of direct insight. So, try and make that clearer. In the Shravaka teachings, the insight is words, the ideas. We need to apply the ideas to the stability of our mind. In the Bodhisattva path, we are working with the stability of our mind so that very naturally it gives us the insight that's embodied in those ideas. Anyway, at this stage, what we're looking at basically are these two terms and trying to understand the difference at first. So, making your mind peaceful, stable, making your mind wise. Have deep insight. What to say here? What is deep insight? What is deep insight? Can you think it? Can you read the most wonderful books? Termas, Mahasiddha's books, deep instructions. Can you read it, think it, understand it, and you have insight? In Gampopa's context, no. The only way you'll get there is skillful meditation. The words are there, you've heard them. Dharma teachings, receiving the information, getting the map, the mind map, travel books and so on about where we're going. Very important first step, but it's a first step. The deep insight or wisdom, well, it's wisdom. We think about the word wise. When you say she's wise, does it mean she knows a lot? Does it mean she's learned half of all Wikipedia or whatever it is? No, wise person knows. They know through what? Experience. It's a wise gardener is not someone who's read lots and lots of gardening books or done a university degree. It's someone who's worked year after year with the soil, with the plants, with everything there is. They just know these things. It's inseparable from themselves. It's in their blood. Their hands know what to do before they even think. They might even have trouble telling somebody else what they're doing, why they're doing it. They might not have the words, but they know. I always think massage is a very good example. A good masseur, your hands know what to do. Of course, at first you need to learn about bones, muscles, you need to learn the theory, but then through years of experiencing all different types of bodies, then you just know you are wise. So when we're looking here at vipassana, we're looking at really deep insight into what? Into our very own mind. And through that, into everyone's mind. and everything. That's vipassana. So, having just said a few words about those, we'll leave Gampopa's text, and now we go to it's in your support document on page 21, I think. We're now looking more at vipassana and shamatha. So our wisdom, our becoming wise, will happen mainly through our meditation practice and our knowledge of ourself. Let's do that one again. Our becoming wise will mainly happen through our meditation and our deepening and deepening knowledge of ourselves. This is so profound. It's not how most people think. It's the special Buddhist way, it's the way of the Bodhisattva, it's very specially the way of Mahamudra. It's amazing that if you can go properly, well-guided, into the work of meditation, it opens the doorways to everything and everyone. If you understand your own mind, then you will be much better equipped to understand others, and you'll gain what we saw at the beginning of this course, the superpowers, so that you'll have the clairvoyance, the transparency that does understand what's going on in others, in their karma, in their lives, in their minds. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it incredible that this is possible? That inside you are the secrets of everything. And you just need to meditate well enough. It's jackpot. It's amazing. And you've already got everything you need. You just need to be shown how to use it. It's wonderful. So we need to develop shamatha in a way that will nurture deepest bodhisattva wisdom. That's what we're aiming for. So we look first, before we come back to this topic of shamatha, we look at what I asked you to look at of developing shamatha. So if we look briefly, I'm on page 23 of the support document now. The method. The method is to train in concentration. We oblige the mind to stay with its focus, to prevent habits from regaining control. We oblige the mind to stay with the focus, to prevent habits from regaining control. This is not a war. We are not fighting ourselves, but we're trying to develop, to let grow a gentle strength rooted in what is good and wholesome. In the support document, I mentioned in some modern texts, they use the term neurosis, or the mind's neurotic activity. I don't like it, because I think neurosis is a medical term. And people who are neurotic, how can you say they are worse off than normal, if normal exists, and they are not well, they can be helped. Neuroses is an illness. Unless we take Buddha as the norm and say we're all ill, and we're all neurotic, but if we take Buddha as the norm, we're going to have to rewrite the whole dictionary. If Buddha is normal, then all our medical, psychological, all of our terms we need to rewrite. Language is based on human normal. So I don't like it when the normal busy mind, monkey mind, is referred to as neurosis. Neurosis is neurosis. Busy mind is busy mind. Anyway, that's me. When we look at busy mind, then another little note there, conscious and subconscious. Subconscious is a word, of course, that came in with psychology, psychiatry. We don't use it particularly in Dharma because we don't have just conscious or not conscious. We have, when we're looking at what we're dealing with, busy mind, thoughts, feelings, memories, fantasies, busy mind. We've got 9 levels. Not conscious and subconscious, 2 levels. We've got 9 levels. Our busy mind can be gross, medium gross, subtle gross, but still gross. These are big, clunky thoughts and feelings. You're really angry. You're really stuck in a fantasy of this, of any gross. So gross, middling, gross, subtle, gross. And then we get 3 on a middling level. There's gross, middling, and subtle middling. And then we get the subtle thoughts, the ones that come and go quite quickly. And we don't see them. It's like noise. It's only when the big noise stops that you start to hear lesser noises. And then they put this, where is it, in New York, one university, they have the quietest place in the world, totally soundproofed. And I forget which composer, Cage, went in there. And it was a huge experience. He said he realized silence is not possible while you're in a body because your own heartbeat, bodily fluids moving and everything, the place is so soundproof, you hear your body like an orchestra. So sound is there, but you can't hear the more subtle sounds till the gross sounds stop. And so on and so on. So it's the same with our thoughts and feelings. We find one level of peace, and it's great, but once you've got that peaceful, there's all these other thoughts you realize going on. And then once they shut up, then there's more subtle ones than that. And of course, that's our journey, working with level after level. So then there are the subtle ones, gross, subtle, middling, subtle. So we've got 9 levels, just to mention that. The actual shamatha method, when we're beginning, can be practiced. We need a focus. We're keeping our mind with the focus and bringing it back to the focus with an outer focus. And that can be of 2 sorts. An outer focus that has sacred value, such as a Buddha image or a seed syllable, tonka, or an outer focus that has no sacred value, a pebble, a candle flame, a mountain. There can be an inner focus, and this can be, again, of sacred value, such as we visualize a Buddha or a seed syllable in our body somewhere, or no sacred value, such as the breath. Speaking generally, I mean, breath is sacred, but not in this sense. Or a visualized point of light. Or there's also shamatha with no special focus. So we've got those to start with, and we have various methods of shamatha. It's very helpful, very healthy to train in different methods, all of those ones. And then no special focus means what? Is one of the key points. Once your mind is peaceful because of a focus, then the peace itself becomes your focus. Focus where you remain. The shamatha in Tibetan is shi ne. Shi means peaceful. Peaceful, defined by its opposite. Peaceful means not disturbed, not distracted, peaceful. Ne means stable. So your mind is at peace because it's not pulled away and troubled by things, and it is stable. So that peaceful stability itself, once we've established it through focusing on something outside or inside, something sacred, not sacred, or the breath, once the peace is up and running, then we don't need to distract from the peace by looking at something again and again. The peace is there. The peace itself becomes our meditation. So that's with no specific focus. Now also, the focus can be fixed or dynamic. Very often we use a fixed focus, such as a stone or a pebble, or we visualize something inside our body that's fixed, like a ball of light inside the head. But then it can be dynamic, like the breath is dynamic. It's changing all the time. And if we are focused on the real breath, rather than the idea of in-out, but the real breath, then it's a new sensation every split second. It's dynamic. But also in Vajrayana, which is we're not really looking at in this course, but just to mention it, in Vajrayana, we have all the qualities of shamatha, keeping your mind undistracted, not letting it be pulled away by habitual thoughts and feelings and fantasies, but we keep it with a dynamic, imagined, should we say, visualized focus. So our job is to visualize this, and then the offerings are like this, and the ones offering the offerings are offering goddesses and gods and the way they give them and what they carry, how they offer it, how it's accepted. And then the next stage is you make prostration. Prostration is like this. We are very focused, but it's dynamic. And it's sacred because each aspect of what we're doing is connecting us more and more with our Buddha nature. So just to mention that fixed and dynamic object. So now I'll go very quickly through what I asked you to look at because and to sort of memorize or know quite well, is this image of the 9 stages, 9 ways of resting the mind. And so in the drawing follows a road from the bottom to the top, and there is a monk who progressively first chases an elephant, then binds it, then leads it, and then subdues it. The elephant changes in color as we go along the path, from being totally black at the beginning to being white at the end. So the elephant is the mind, and at the end of the path, this one-pointed absorption, dhyana, is attained, and the purified elephant mind is totally settled. At the end of the path, the monk who started off walking along the path is now flying in the sky, and so that represents the bliss, and riding the elephant at sometimes in the sky flying, sometimes riding the elephant. So bodily bliss, mental bliss. He actually rides the elephant back down in the path along the rainbow, wielding a sword of wisdom, perfect insight, having attained the flame of clear understanding and mindfulness. So now samsara has been uprooted, all the old habits gone forever, and shamatha and vipasyana, stability and wisdom, are inseparable. So in that story, the elephant's the mind, the monk is the meditator, The dark color of the elephant at first is mind's feebleness. It goes where it wants and we can't control it. And it's fogginess, it's not wise and clear, it's confused, dark. There's a monkey. The monkey at first has control of the elephant. So the monkey leads the elephant. So the elephant's, how can you say, your mind in the larger sense. Your mind. The monkey is what many people call monkey mind. It's our thoughts that just like a very active monkey. They go here, they go there. One moment you're thinking about something profound. The next minute you're thinking about your toenails. And it just goes one thing another. Our mind. Just imagine that right now we could put your mind on screen for everyone to see for the next 10 minutes. Everything it thought, all the images, the fantasies that came up, the memories. Okay, that's the monkey. You've got it. And that monkey, we don't have the technology yet. It will come. It will come. And so that's the monkey that's leading our mind in general from life to life, incarnation, leading the elephant. So as we, that's the monkey. The monkey also goes from darker at first to clear and bright at the end. The monk holds a rope, that's mindfulness, and a hook, which symbolizes awareness. Now, today's gone by very quickly. It's always like that. But I need to say something about mindfulness and awareness. They're very important. The word mindfulness in Dharma doesn't mean what many people might think it means from modern mindfulness training. A lot of modern mindfulness training is what in Dharma we will call awareness training. So awareness is very hard to describe, except to say you're more and more aware. It's being in what is happening right now, in the present moment, as clearly and as undistractedly as possible. That's awareness. Some people these days, they see the judgment, without judgmental. But the very nature of awareness is, in the Buddha's teaching, it is the meditation component of what we're doing. Meditation isn't about thought, it's about being, holding your mind. So our mind aware of the present moment. Judgment is something else. That's thoughts, that's values, that's wisdom. It's another department. So in awareness in Buddhism means that mindfulness is about remembering with values. And there is judgment in the nice sense of the term, not being judgmental, not your mind's traditional bias and projections onto people, projections onto things. The word for mindfulness in Dharma is the same word as memory. A memory is defined by its opposite, which is not forgetting. Mindfulness means you do not forget the Buddha's teaching. It is very moral, it is very ethical. When it comes to meditation, it means in particular, you don't forget the instructions for the meditation. the guidelines. And so you see, the reason I think that modern secular mindfulness cannot take this is because it has to work for everyone. It has to work for Christians with their values, it has to work for Buddhists with their values, and it has to work with just non-religious people with modern, sort of commonly accepted ethics. But in Dharma, it is definitely not like that. Mindfulness means you remember the Buddha's guidance while you're aware, while you're in the moment, and you're aware of that moment. Then what are you going to do or not do? Mindfulness means remember the Buddha's teaching about not killing, not stealing, not harming. The Buddha's teaching, all the teachings about meditation, controlling the mind, harnessing the mind, mastering the mind. And they are your guiding light. So if you have, like, awareness is your magnifying glass, making you very vividly aware of the present moment, mindfulness of your body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of your thoughts, mindfulness of Dharma, the four main areas of our awareness, then what you're keeping, and then mindfulness means exactly that. Your mind is filled with the Buddha's guidance. And traditionally, there are in fact three. They're sometimes called like three temples. Oh, I can't do that with fingers. No, I'll do that. Three temples anyway, right? Two temples doesn't work unless they're really forced into the ground. You need three at least to hold up a three-dimensional structure without falling over. So the idea is you take away one temple, the other two collapse. Three things that need each other, that work together beautifully. Mindfulness, awareness, and care. Care is the basic moral component. We care about ourselves, we care about everybody else. That's why we are being aware and being mindful. The whole process of developing those qualities is because we care. We care for our own mind, its sanity, its clarity, its goodness, and so on. So care, one factor. Awareness, which is the meditation component, which is being directly aware through our senses mainly, and with our mind, being aware of what's happening. And then mindfulness is the wisdom component of not forgetting the Buddha's teaching, not forgetting the instruction. So they support each other. So the rope that the monk has in this image, with which in the end he catches the elephant, is mindfulness. And there's a hook or a goad, it's a sort of shorter stick that symbolizes awareness. And in the picture there is fire. At the beginning of the path, there's a lot of fire, a lot of flames around the path. This is the energy that we need to put into meditation. Lots of obstacles at the beginning. The beginning's the hardest stage for a meditator. You completely, monkey mind's got you. You've not had more and more experiences through meditation of just what a wonderful and beautiful and meaningful path it is. There's so many things in life to distract us and take us away. We're in the weakest position, and if we're really determined to get the results of meditation, then we need a lot of determination, a lot of effort, a lot of good motivation, and we need to apply it and get ourselves there on the cushion, and rather than doing something else again and again. And then when we're on the cushion, not just slump into sort of habitual meditation, but think, why am I here? To get enlightened, to help everybody. And this session, it's this in Vajrayana text, it says, this day, in this session, on this seat, in this moment, I'll get enlightened. Now, a lot of fire at the beginning. No fire, you won't get very far. So we need effort. So it says the energy and zest for meditation. And so as the path evolves and the flames get less and less, doesn't mean we become more despondent or we give up. It means that it comes more naturally. We become meditation. Meditation is there, on the cushion, off the cushion. It's who we are, it's what we do, it's the way the mind works, it's got new habits. There's also a rabbit in the story, and the rabbit is the more subtle aspects of our mind's scatteredness. So if we look at the 9 ways now, the 9 steps, we start focused on an object. Study is very, very important. It says here, why pass hours watching a stone unless you know the benefits of Dharma? You know we need to meditate, it will come through concentrating. But I mean, why watch a stone for? You know, unless you like some of the Italian movies of the 1950s where you just leave the camera on one thing for 3 hours. You'd be better off watching a film, going out. Why? Why do we do this hard work of teaching our mind shamatha? So we need to study to motivate ourselves very much. 4 ways of changing the mind, 4 noble truths, very helpful. So we're the monk on the first stage. We're chasing the elephant. We want to stabilize the mind. We haven't caught it yet. We haven't roped it yet. The hook's too far away. So the flame of the fire of effort needs to be very, very strong. The elephant's gone off. It's not even looking at the rope and the hook. The elephant's just doing its own thing, but we're working on it. In stage 2, having studied, having got the information, the Dharma facts, we do deep reflection. We're bringing Dharma to life in ourselves and our own mind, the distracted part. The elephant, we are seeing more and more what's going on with our mind. We've reflected on the meaning of the Buddha's teaching, and this is very helpful. And it motivates. It's hopeful. So it says the monk's holding up his hands in happiness. And there, the rope and the hook work. Mindfulness and awareness work, but it takes a lot of effort. Because of that effort, there is a bit of a change in one's mind. So the elephant and the monkey have little white patches. And the 3rd step, we've learned how when the focus is lost, we can very quickly bring the mind back. Before it took a long time. Sometimes you'd be 5 minutes before you realize, oh, I'm on a cushion, I'm supposed to be meditating, and you pull yourself back. We learn new habits quicker and quicker, and now we recognize distraction, how it works, how it takes us away. We can catch it more quickly because we've been using the rope, the lasso, of mindfulness, the hook of awareness. We've had to apply them, lots of effort, very busy, but bit by bit, we've learned to bring the mind back. We've reached stage 3. And the rabbit comes into play at this time. The rabbit represents a certain passivity of the mind. So there is it's called the spacious feeling of meditation, and there is serenity. Everything feels good. However, this is or can be a distraction, kind of, I got there kind of feeling. You're in shamatha, you feel good, it's peaceful, and you're kind of spacing out into it a bit. And that's the rabbit. That's the rabbit. And there can be that. And there can be, at the same time, what's described as a very subtle form of depression. It's so nice when you meditate. What's the point of anything? What's the point of anything? Get up, be busy, do this, do that. No, this is where it's at. It's not. We have such a long and special path to do. We have people to help. We have our own mind to liberate. So this is called the trap of peace and bliss. The obstacle of peace and bliss. And in past lives, as meditators, it stopped us being good bodhisattvas. It slowed down our path. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not wrong in the sense of non-virtuous. It just wastes so much time. It's no use to anybody else. So we need to be working more specially with meditation. It's not meditation for its own sake. The next step, fully settling the mind, means it becomes very deeply focused on its object. And mindfulness is the main thing here. Mindfulness means you've received from your teacher meditation instructions and how to handle the state that you're in, where your meditation's got to. Mindfulness means not forgetting that guidance. You understand what's going on. Your mind is much more useful, responds to you. So we don't need a tightrope on the elephant's neck. It's loose. The elephant's quite obedient. And the elephant and the monkey and the rabbit are looking back at the meditator. There's a harmony between mind and what those 3 things represent. Stage 5, taming the mind. And there, Dharma joy of meditation comes about. And at this stage, there's a more focus on awareness as the remedy to distraction and dullness. Anyway, you can read the text to explain this. You've read it already. Stage 6 is the mind is pacified, and we take that awareness to an even sharper level, an even clearer level. And this is the stage when the senses lose their power over us, because our mind, within mind, remember the definition of shamatha was mind held deeply, excellently within mind itself. This is opening the door to so much that these 5 senses and what they have, food, music, whatever it is, the things that distract us through the senses, have lost power. Pacification. Then that gets even deeper, just goes to a deeper level. At this stage, diligence and awareness are the key tools, let's say. Then stage 8, one-pointedness, we actually what we call the antidotes, which I'd hoped to cover today, but time's run out. We learn to use antidotes for what goes wrong in meditation. And the antidotes become second nature. So that as your mind's going wrong, you don't have to think, what do I do? You just automatically, it's like driving, you know how to steer, when to change gear. You don't need to think, do I need to change gear now? It's not like when you have driving lessons and you're going right high up and the instructor says, change up, change up. And now you're going up a hill and you're starting to stall, change down. You don't even need to think about it. Nothing needs to happen. You automatically change gear. Second nature. So the processes of remedies are very much applied. So what does that mean? It means that our mind keeps really in the deepest, most right, most profound state perfectly. And as we lose it, start to lose it, it's brought back. And then we learn with remedies when to apply them, when not to apply them. It's a very important stage of the teaching that we're talking about here. And then the end is the complete equanimity, stage 9. So I think we need to finish there. It's a long session for today. And next week, in our last session, we'll come back to the 5 faults and the 8 antidotes and more fascinating stuff about dhyana, paramita. Anyway, let's dedicate anything that was good and helpful in today's session to everyone. And for everyone, most particularly for those with whom we are connected, for this world with which we have a very strong connection, that there be peace. May whatever virtue was created by this session contribute to the state of omniscience being attained. Through the main enemy, our mind's defilements, being completely defeated. Through that, may each and every sentient being become freed from the ocean of existence, troubled by its waves of rebirth, aging, sickness, and death. May this precious bodhicitta arise in those in whom it's not arisen, and may its development know no setbacks. May it increase ever more and more. And through this virtue, may we quickly achieve Mahamudra and establish every single sentient being in that same accomplishment. Thank you all very, very much. So now, over to you if you have any comments or questions.
Ken, I have a question about motivation. I'm at a stage where in my meditation where I'm really low down on that chart, where everything is really chaotic. And sometimes it can feel like really hard work to sit on the cushion. And I notice a lot of resistance there. When you were talking, you said that the how to counteract this is to study and find motivation and purpose. Beyond that, how would you suggest dealing with it? Do you just say, no, this is what I'm doing every day regardless? Or how do you work skillfully with that resistance?
Yeah. I think one thing is the long-term benefit. That we can apply a motivation through long-term benefit is something humans can do. It's not particularly Buddhist. So we can undergo hardship today because we're working for, longer term, we're working maybe in a job, so we can have a house, so we can have a retirement, so we can look after children and bring them up or whatever. Short-term difficulty, hardship for longer-term benefit. So that's where the study mainly applies, because we need to believe in that benefit. How much we can or can't believe in the benefit of the Dharma path will vary with each person, especially according to their karma from past lives, and how much affinity one has with this whole Dharma process. So I do think study is important, and it would lead to discipline. And very often meditation teachers say how important it is to just do the practice, whether it seems to be working or not, whether you feel for it or not, but to make it a discipline. So we have regular practice. One might not see the benefits at first of that, but I think most people, as the years go by, see it really is beneficial to make a regular practice as much as is possible. And I think they're the main points.
Thank you. That's very helpful. The long-term goal, and then this idea of discipline. I've heard that time and time again. So yeah, I think that is important. I think it's maybe Lama Rabsang last week was saying to us about how he's seen that generally lacking, and how it would be very beneficial for us in the West to apply this more diligently. Yeah, discipline. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think the long-term benefits, there is faith and becoming a bodhisattva, and the long-term amazing benefits are something to believe in. But there's also a logical side to it, which is just understanding how complex our mind is, how it's made up of habits, how our life story has shaped us, and how simply by introducing new habits, we can make our mind more how we'd like it, because now the process of meditation is taking some degree of control. So I think that kind of longer term benefit, just in terms of our psychology, is for everybody. Becoming like Buddha, becoming like Milarepa, that's
I guess it's like a parent being kind to a child, that they might not like doing certain things, but they know, say, eating vegetables is beneficial. So, I guess it's that level of kindness which might counteract any resistance to the discipline.
Absolutely.
Hi, Ken. My God, that was a lot to cover. a lot to take in, or not take in, as the case may be.
I had intended to do more.
In the section on meditation that accomplishes the welfare of others, it talks about the ability of bodhisattvas in 10 levels to emanate in the minds of livings and other beings, even from the first level. This, I'm a bit confused, if that's the right word, by the term emanation and how it works. maybe it'll take me a few lifetimes to understand it. But the questions, it also says this is automatic. So is it always automatic, or that a bodhisattva doesn't make a conscious decision to emanate in somebody's mind or as somebody else?
They're conscious of what happens, but there's not. It does happen automatically. It's the situation emerges. The person needs help. The person asks for help, and they manifest. And I think there's two ways of understanding this. We can take it literally. The bodhisattvas emanate. So, for instance, the 16th Karmapa, somebody once asked him, do you have other physical emanations in this world, on planet Earth, at present? And he just laughed. He said, yes, of course. He said, I've got 9 in India just now, working in India. So we can take that literally, that, how can you say, that the mind that was running the 16th Karmapa is also running other bodies and people in different countries who are appearing in all the ways that bodhisattvas do to help people, not necessarily as spiritual teachers. We can take it like that. And I suppose if you think about it long enough, you can imagine being a kind of a mind with lots of bodies going on all over the place in different worlds. One way we can take it that's helpful, is more like a metaphor, is, for instance, me as a teacher at the moment, I just now been manifesting for an hour and a half in 30-something minds, right? Akon Rinpoche as a teacher, as a Dharma teacher, I forget, I calculated it once how many direct students he had. But anyway, it was more than 1,000. I mean, his presence, his loving, caring, stable, wise, guiding presence was very real for 1,000 people. He was in their lives. He was in their mind. And they could turn to him, and he was helping and guiding them. And if we take somebody, you go up when Karmapa, then the number of people who look to them and who, especially in their practice, feel the Karmapa's presence and blessing, sometimes comes in dreams, sometimes it's just there when you sit and meditate, then you're in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. So that kind of level of presence, what bodhisattvas do, they guide, they teach, they protect, they help, they support. It's like your best friend present with you. So that's an easy to understand way. The literal way, I think, is also true, but we are so used to being in one body, in one place with just our own set of senses, that being many, 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 and each one of them totally effective, is hard for us to imagine. This is one of the definitions of ego. Ego is this limited appreciation of who we are, because we are trapped in this body, we're in this body. We've only ever been used to having this body and these 5 senses. And when the ego goes, we realize how mind actually only usefully exists inside other people. We have no more need to exist personally.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Is that us finished for today? It looks
Ken,
like it.
could
Yes.
I just ask something if no one else has anything
course,
about
Susan.
the actual
Yes,
session
yes.
to ask?
Yeah.
There was a post, and maybe it was Yale put it up, I'm not sure, but it was that both Karmapas have issued a sort of statement and asking people to do Vajrasattva mantras for purification. Is that something we should be doing?
Well, I
You
think
said all the karma can't sang, so does that mean everybody really?
yeah. Vajrasattva is something, I mean, if you don't know how to do it, then you can't do
I
it
don't.
anyway.
Yeah,
If it's something in
that's-
practice that you've already got, and you know what it's about, then we do it mainly for ourselves when we're doing the foundation practices. But then we can do it collectively if the Karmapa feels there's something wrong that's happened or there's something that needs purifying and asks us to do it, of course. And I think we all want people who are in the lineage, we want the lineage to thrive and be healthy and whatever might have gone wrong to be healed, of course.
So not having any knowledge of the practice, there's just don't worry about it.
No, it's for people who know how to do it, but it doesn't stop one basically, praying however one does for whatever was wrong to be healed and for whatever can be good and can be helpful for everyone to thrive, of course. One can do that. I mean, it's the same spirit, it's just Vajrasattva practice puts a very special, skillful means, puts a face on that same spirit. But the idea is that whatever happened that was wrong, it doesn't need to persist into the present and into the future. We can stop it. We can purify it. It's called laying down the burden of the past. Yeah. And then we can make the future something that's healthy and positive. That's the spirit of Vajrasattva. So you can certainly do that.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome. And no, I didn't share that post. I saw lots and lots of people had shared it. And I knew if I put it up, people would ask me, what's your opinion? And I don't have one. But then people would say, well, why don't you have one? And it can get very, very complicated. So I thought it was popping up on so many feeds. I thought everyone knows about this and I don't need to share it. So I wish everyone a very, very good week. And next week I've got to finish. It could go on, but we'll finish. And anyway, when we go to the next paramita, the wisdom one, it kind of takes up the story from here, so it's okay. Okay, all the best, everybody. Take good care. And hello and goodbye to those I didn't say hello to at the beginning.
Thank you very much, Ken. Thanks so much, Ken. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks, everyone. Bye.